Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is from 2008, and it's a Malaysian film called Sellout, written and directed by Jun Han Yao, and this is absolutely wonderful. You can tell by the slipcover. This is another Vinegar Syndrome partner label. This is Kani, Kini, which is named after Yuzuru Uzu's special tripod. And this is number 9 in the Kani range. Another Vinegar Syndrome sister label that I've fallen for. I've got a couple, and no doubt I'll be getting some more. This label kind of concentrates on Asian cinema, but it's Asian cinema kind of from Malaysia and Indonesia and the Philippines. I've got another Broca film that I need to watch, which is on Kani, which I have a copy of. But this is Sellout. This is a wonderful package, a wonderful release with the film and a lovely booklet as well, and it also has the soundtrack on CD, which is wonderful. I'll get to the soundtrack in a bit. Some of the films that I talk about in this channel are worth seeing. They're interesting. Some other films are very good. Some are even excellent. But then there's some films that are next level, and I would put Sellout in that category. This is a 5 out of 5 film for me, granted. I've watched it once, so that's not really an accurate judgment on it. But it's just so brilliant on so many levels. It's a comedy. It was big in the festival circuit. It opened in Venice in 2008. The edition also has 2 cuts. It's got a Venice cut and a Vancouver cut. The Vancouver cut is 111 minutes, and Venice is 107. So it's a comedy, but to me it has that perfect line of, yes, it's a comedy, some of it's ridiculous, some of it's quite broad, it's a satire, but it also has moments of seriousness. It's still got serious points to make about society, and seeing it's now 15 years old, nothing's really changed. But it's also a musical, hence the inclusion of the soundtrack. And it's one of those musicals where people just start singing. But they don't have amazing voices. There's a couple of Stone Cold classics that will give you, well, they gave me goosebumps. There's a track about money that almost rivals Pink Floyd's song about money. So what's the story actually about? Well, it's about it's hard to explain. No, it's about a presenter of an arts show called Rafisha, or Rafisha is, that big red plant that smells of rotting meat. That's the character's name. and her second name is Pong. So her name's basically Stinky Stinky. And she presents a programme about the arts. And in the initial scene in the film, which is a classic by itself, she's interviewing a director, strangely enough called John Hang Yu. But it's not actually the director, but he puts his name to it. And the director comes out nude to do the interview, and he's just won some award in a festival. I won't get it right, but it's pretty much the new young female Chinese director for a first film that would be suitable for viewers over the age of 70. But of course he's a man and he's not actually Chinese, but that's not the point. And the whole thing is pretty much a setup, a satire of art house cinema. He's made a short film called Love is Love and Nothing Else, and Not Something Else, sorry, which has just long takes of people having a banal conversation, because the joke is if you kind of put a static camera for long enough, you'll get a moment of poetry at some point. And the host runs a competition, and the prize is a DVD copy of his short film. If you can, it's the first 3 people to write in and spot the moment of poetry in the film. And on the DVD there's a special bonus of a 5-hour version of the short film, because his point is, real life is boring, so why shouldn't cinema be boring? And while this is happening, there's a shooting in the street and people are coming into the restaurant where they're having their interview and being shot in the head while he's sitting there naked saying life's boring, so cinema should be boring as well because nothing really happens. And the interviewer makes the point, well, why can't people just sit at home? And he says they're too busy to realise that they're bored. So this is just like a perfect introduction into the film, and then the film proper starts. So it's kind of got 2 threads. It's about the rivalry between this reporter or this presenter of an art house show and this presenter who's more attractive, and she does reality shows, and she's more popular with the company, and the company of course is called Phony, which is just Sony with an F, and they have phony food and phony clothes and phony TV and phony electronics, and obviously reality sells better than art does. The posh, more attractive host of that show, claims that when people watch reality shows, they still want fantasy. And it's the fantasy of living in that reality. So part of the film is about Rafisha trying to get top spot back from the woman who presents the reality shows. On the other side is a character called Eric, who has designed this machine that's an 8-in-1 or 10-in-1 soya product producer. So you put soya beans in, you get 8 or 10 soya bean products like soya milk or tofu and such things. But the 2 CEOs, who are a wonderful double act, and one of them especially is absolutely hilarious. Even though later in the film you get some more information that makes you question everything you've seen in the film. And Eric's kind of naive as the two CEOs kind of grill him about, where's the inbuilt obsolescence of the unit. We want the unit to break down, 10 minutes after its 1 year warranty, so people have to buy another one. They lecture him on original sin, but they think the sin is having an original thought, which he replies, I don't think that's what that means, because they just want him to copy other companies' designs and not to have actual original thoughts. So this whole film kind of came about from the director looking at two paths they could have taken, being the art house, the fully art house director. But he felt, there's a couple of interviews with him, which I'll get to, that he would probably end up being a really pretentious filmmaker, or he could go the really commercial route, and he thinks he'd probably fail at that as well. So it's that line that the film straddles, about being popular and what you give up. I mean, it's called sellout after all. So the CEOs decide, they are just credited as CEO 1 and CEO 2, they decide to get him exorcised. So they go to the local exorcist to get the dreamer part exorcised from Eric's body. So then it becomes a doppelganger film, and there's two Erics, one of them the practical Eric and one of the dreamer Eric. And the dreamer Eric is attracted to the presenter of the art show, but she goes to see her fiance who's dying, and in a wonderful scene where I think the second song of the film is performed by the dying man, she decides to film it, and therefore gets the germ of the idea, hey, instead of making films about these pretentious artists, let's make a show about filming the last moments of people's lives as they die. Yeah, there's a certain vein of comedy in the film that you're either going to absolutely adore or you're absolutely going to hate. That's a fair assessment, I think. So again, the pressure of trying to be a success literally leads her to filming people as they die. But even the reactions of the families as soon as they realise they're in television, it's like, oh, I'll go and change, or oh, my hair's a mess. And it's under the guise of trying to get words of wisdom as people die. But again, it's just the viewers, the audience's appetite to see people die. And the finale of the film is not only selling this 1 in 8 or 10, depending on who you listen to, soya product making machine, who actually looks a little bit like Wall-E. I don't know whether Pixar got it from here or not. To make money for that, and also for the nation to decide which one, either Practical Eric or Dreamer Eric, is to die. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. I'm not going to tell you every joke and every setup, because it is just absolutely wonderful. But again, to me, it straddles the line beautifully of, yes, it's a comedy, yes, it's a black comedy, yes, it's a satire of capitalism, and literally, even though we're supposed to be in a creative industry, we don't actually like original thought, but it also has serious kind of points to make about how we treat the people that are dying in our lives, how we treat disease and mental illness, very much like in Sajid Ray's films. There's a kind of undercurrent of, most of the characters speak English, because in Malaysia, lots of people speak English, speak Malay, and they speak Cantonese. There's a big Chinese community in Malaysia. So the filmmaker wanted to show that. But again, very much, as I say, in Sajid Ray cinema, there's that battle of the old world and the new world, and speaking English rather than speaking Bengali or whatever. So there's a lot going on. It's not just a surface musical with lots of jokes. And the ending is actually quite profound, and as I said, there's several moments that will give you goosebumps, or at least gave me goosebumps. Maybe I need to put my heating on, I don't know. A couple of the songs are absolutely brilliant. The rest of the songs are solid. Again, a weakness of some musicals is the music isn't that good, or the songs aren't that good, which is kind of a bit of a flaw if you're doing a musical. But as I said, the one about money is just absolutely beautiful, and there's several other songs that are just quite fantastic. The tone is wonderful. There's so many little jokes and points that I'm obviously not going to go into here. It's just an absolute joy. Again, a film that kind of disappeared after its festival run in 2008. But, I mean, Vinegar Syndrome at the moment is having their Black Friday sale. So if you have the capability, I would certainly encourage you to pick up Sellout, because it's just so good. So as I say, this edition with the booklet and the soundtrack, the Vancouver cut 111 minutes, the Venice cut 107. It's got an archival interview with the director at Venice, which is 18 minutes. It's got an archival interview with the director at the Locarno 2020. That's just an online interview, because there's other things going on in the world in 2020. I don't know whether you remember that. Which is 31 minutes. There's an interview with actor Peter Davis from 2022, which is 13 minutes. An interview with Jerica Lai which is 13 minutes from 2022. An interview with actor Wong Wai Hung from 2022, which is 6 minutes. Interview with actors Lim Teek Hong and Keith Wan Chea from 2022, which is 10 minutes. The two of them play the CEOs, and who are absolutely brilliant. There's an interview with actor Calvin Wong from 2022, which is 6 minutes. There's a video essay by Andy Darrell Gomez, which is very good, which is 2022, which is 22 minutes long. There's also a cast commentary video, which is a short video, but there's also an actual commentary, not just a video of them doing the commentary. The booklet, and there's optional English subtitles and optional Chinese subtitles. So this is a wonderful release from Canny. As I said, number 9, and I will be getting more of these. Yeah, so I mean, Canadian International Pictures, Canny, Deaf Crocodile, of course, and Fun City Editions. I mean, these are all I would recommend that are to do with Vinegar Syndrome, but aren't actually Vinegar Syndrome. But stunning stuff. Again, this is one of the films of my 2023, one of the best films I've seen this year. Obviously I will be watching it again. I mean, I would give it a 5, but obviously that's just first view, which isn't necessarily the best judge. But it's just so wonderful. Yes, it's a certain type of humour that perhaps not everybody will appreciate. but I would highly recommend it. So that's Sellout from Malaysia. I think it might be my favourite Malaysian film, possibly of all time, but we'll have to see. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen Sellout and what you think of it, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Soldier Ronan from Soldier Ronan Films, saying farewell.